Hello everyone, good evening. We are in the middle of the biggest pandemic known to man. As the world battles COVID-19, Pakistan has its priorities clear, sponsoring terror across the border in India. Today, the NIA, that's the National Investigation Agency, busted an Al-Qaeda module that was planning terror attacks in Delhi, in Bangalore, Kashmir, and even pole-bound Bihar. 9 people have been arrested, 6 from Murshidabad in West Bengal and 3 from Kerala in Ernakulam. One of those who has been arrested is a computer science student. Here are more details to our top story today.
The home of an alleged terrorist. Atiur Rahman's house in Murshidabad, West Bengal was among 9 raided by NIA sleuths in the wee hours today in West Bengal and Kerala. Recovered jihadi literature to digital devices, articles and manuals for homemade explosives, firearms, even locally fabricated body armor. The NIA probe on since September last year had zeroed in on these 9 as members of the Al-Qaeda, 6 of them operating from Murshidabad in Bengal, 3 from Ernakulam in Kerala. Piecing together what was a vicious terror plot, NIA sources told CNN NEWS18 the terrorists had been radicalized and indoctrinated for what Pak-based Al-Qaeda functionaries called anti-India jihad. They'd been motivated to carry out attacks in multiple cities and vital installations, and Delhi NCR was on top of potential targets. Members of the interstate module had planned to travel to Delhi to procure arms. They were actively engaged in fundraising drives for the plot. Amid the legalities of their remand and further questioning towards unearthing the deeper nexus, the politics was not far behind. West Bengal and Kerala, both non-BJP ruled states, both known hubs for Islamist terrorist activity, opportunity ripe for fireworks.
मुझे लगता है बंगाल की सरकार जानबूझकर इनको सिल्टअप दे रही क्योंकि इसी में उनका राजनीतिक हित है। ऐसा कोई डिस्ट्रिक्ट नहीं वेस्ट बंगाल में जहां कभी ना कभी कई 5-7 सालों में बम विस्फोट नहीं हुआ हो। तो लगातार ये जो घटना हुई है, इससे पता चलता है बंगाल की सरकार इस मामले में सॉफ्ट है।
State Governor Jagdeep Dhankar hit out too, terming Mamta's approach to law and order an ostrich stance. Alleged Bengal terror hub Murshidabad, it turns out, is also the parliamentary constituency of Congress's Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, long facing the heat for madrasas of radicalization. More brickbats, both for Congress and TMC. No missing out on the fact that the tempo for polls builds in Bihar. Is the appeasement brand of politics, TMCs in West Bengal and lefts in Kerala, working as cover fire for radicals in these arrests? That's fodder enough. Bureau Report, CNN News 18.
As the politics plays out, let us take you through these 9 men, and these are the agents of terror, as we are calling them. Who are these people who have been arrested? 6 of them have been arrested in Murshidabad. 3 of them have been arrested in Ernakulam. Who are they? The first man, this is Murshid Hassan Akas Sofik. He was arrested from Ernakulam. He's a casual laborer. He, we believe, is a group leader. He is inspired by Al-Qaeda's violent ideology. So this is the group leader that we are talking about. The second person that we are bringing to you is Musharraf Hussain. He was arrested again from Ernakulam. He's worked as a cook. He's a confidant of Sofik. He collected funds to buy explosives because remember, one of the plans was to go to Delhi to buy explosives. He was the man collecting funds. Then you have Mainul Mundal. He was arrested from Murshidabad in West Bengal, again works as a cook. He planned procurement of arms and ammunition from Bangladesh. So while one person was working to buy arms in Delhi, the other person was working to buy arms from Bangladesh. Then you have Liu Yan Ansari. He's also called Liolin. He was arrested from Ernakulam. He worked as an electrician. He procured country-made weapons to further jihad. He was steeped in jihadi ideology, and he was the one who was procuring country-made weapons. Foreign weapons was the job of another person. Then you have Najmus Saqib. He was arrested again from Murshidabad. He is a computer science student. He's the most educated of the 9 people who has been arrested. He was involved in further radicalizing young people with jihadi ideas, which means essentially his job was radicalization via social media and to recruit more people for this module. Then you have Iukab Biswas. Again, he was arrested from Ernakulam. He worked as a sales manager. He was involved in the recruitment of individuals for jihadi activities. So if you need to conduct a terror strike, you can't just do it with 9 men. You need to recruit more people. There has to be a sleeper cell. for that sleeper cell, he was the one who was recruiting people. You have Abu Sufyan. He was arrested from Murshidabad. He worked as a farmer. He was a farmer and he was planning to establish a shed for explosives. He has shown you some pictures as well, but he specifically, his job was that near his farm, he makes a shed where explosives can be stored. Then you have Atiur Rahman, again arrested from Murshidabad. He worked as an art student. He was an art student, and he was again tasked with furthering jihadi activities of the group, which means again online radicalization. In the college that he used to study, students that he knew, radicalize them with Al-Qaeda literature and try and get them to join the group. You have Al-Mayoon Kamal as well, again arrested from Murshidabad. He was working as a mason and a driver, and what was his job? His job was to provide secure venue for fundraising meetings. So he was the man who was in charge of venues, and these are venues where people would come, and these are venues where funds would be raised. Let me go straight across to Arunima, who is getting us details of all these 9 people who have now been arrested. That terror module, as it were, of the Al-Qaeda busted. Arunima, were you surprised at all to have a computer science student and an arts student as part of this group?
It's a mixed group, you know, there are various kinds of people here, and a common thread running through all of them is that they are highly radicalized, allegedly. That's what NIA says. Somebody who's a mastermind works in a hotel. Somebody else who's arranging for that mastermind's job in Kerala works in a textile shop for 10 years. There are others also who have better educational qualification. The common thread is they all believe that in the radical ideology that Al-Qaeda is propagating, they all believe that it is time to take matters in their own hand to carry out terror attacks. The instructions given to their group leader was to either carry out a bomb blast in Bengaluru, Delhi, or in some part of Bihar, or targeted killing. And for this, they were being given instructions about where to pick up their arms and ammunition from, how to travel to Kashmir, which has been codenamed Thandi Jagah. If lockdown prevented that movement, what was the next option? If lockdown was not allowing them to come to Delhi, procure arms and ammunition, what could be done next? All of these people, irrespective of their financial background, irrespective of their educational background, had that one thing in common as per NIA investigators, that they believed in the Al-Qaeda ideology. And that, I think, is most worrying. Further investigation will only tell us how they got so radicalized. What was the reason that they decided that what Al-Qaeda handlers were telling them was what needs to be done?
All right, Arunima, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for getting us details of the 9 men who have now been arrested by the NIA. Meanwhile, speaking to CNN News 18, NIA's public prosecutor, Shamal Ghosh, is saying that incriminating material has been recovered from all 9 accused. Listen in.
What was the kind of attachment these accused have in the Al-Qaeda network?
Actually, this is a banned organization, number one.
Right.
The government of India, Ministry of Homes, is having some information. According to that information, that our agency that given the charge of that for inquiry and information.
Right.
According to that in Kerala there is 3 persons,
Right.
and in Bengal there is 6 persons
Right.
interrogate and investigate and inquiry.
Right.
Those at both the places there is several incriminating documents, articles, ammunition has been recovered.
Can you please once again explain what these sections 16, 17, 18, 18B, 20 and 38?
38 as the initiate.
These are all sections related to terrorism. And these are all sections related to terrorism.
Yes, this is at this stage.
Right.
Because the banned organization, so our government of India's the EOP Act, as per the amendment, this section has been initiated.
Right.
So ultimately, this is a case of branch of NIA in Delhi.
Okay, this is breaking news coming in. Congress MP Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who is the MP of Murshidabad, has responded to allegations that the BJP is making that his seat, that is Murshidabad, has become the hotbed of terror activities. Listen in.
আমাদের রাজ্যের আইন শৃঙ্খলার পাশাপাশি আমাদের রাজ্যের যে ইন্টেলিজেন্স সেই ইন্টেলিজেন্স দুর্বল থেকে দুর্বলতর হচ্ছে খুব সাধারণ কারণ এই কারণে যে পশ্চিমবঙ্গের পুলিশ প্রশাসনের উপরে রাজনৈতিক হস্তক্ষেপ পুলিশ প্রশাসনের দক্ষতাকে ক্ষয় করছে দক্ষ লোককে যোগ্য লোককে যোগ্য জায়গায় বসানোর সময় এসে গেছে।
Let me go straight across to Shugoto Mukhopadhyay, who is joining us. Shugoto, if you could loosely translate what Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was saying.
Well, Shreya, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary made 3 specific points. One, of course, he is extremely worried about the fact that Murshidabad is time again being reflected. The name is coming under the terror network map of the country. So Murshidabad becoming the hotbed of terror activities is a cause of concern that Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary shares without making any bones about it. 2, he obviously says that because of the religious polarization that is happening across the country, on account of that, a section of people are finding themselves vulnerable, and they are becoming more and more inclined to fall into the trap of these terror outfits, and which is why that is a cause of concern yet again. Third, last but not the least, the point of law and order here in Bengal is not up to the mark, according to Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. He says that the Khagragar blast incident has exposed the weakness of the state police, and they were caught unawares, and had that incident not happened, there would not have been any idea that such a terror module was actually in fact being operated out of Bengal soil. So that is a major failure of state police intelligence, and the reason why the state police is becoming more and more weak, according to Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, is because of the political interference. In fact, he makes no bones about the fact, alleging that the only role that the Bengal police now has to play is to protect the Trinamool Congress and the party. So that is the reason. These are the 3 points that Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary largely made in respect to his response to the arrests that have been made from Murshidabad early this morning.
All right, he represents Behrampur constituency, which is in Murshidabad. Thank you very much, Shugoto, for joining us. I can go straight across to our guests who are joining us live this evening. Tausif Ahmed Khan is a political analyst. He's a lawyer. He's joining us. Mr. Sudesh Verma is spokesperson of the BJP. And Mr. Kulbir Krishnan is a former IPS officer. I'm today going to go to the politicians first. Tausif Ahmed Khan, the fact is that a place like Murshidabad has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. It's not just the BJP saying that Mamata Banerjee's government is soft on terror, there's minority appeasement. The Congress is saying the same thing.
In 2021, we are heading for election, both the state of Kerala and West Bengal. And therefore, in order to set the political narrative, to control the political narrative, these incidents would be talked about. Yes, if there are criminal activities going on, we have our police forces, we have our defense forces, we have NIA, we have all the different agencies who are working on it, and they will, as they have already arrested, they will deal with these incidents. But all of this will not be allowed by people of Bengal to be diverted to be diverted from asking this question. What are those questions that BJP do not want to answer? The questions are, in financial year 2018, BJP's income was 1,027 crore. And in 2019, it rose to 2,437 crore. How did that happen? Amit Shah's Sun company was worth 69 lakh rupees in 2014. In the coming 5 years, its worth increased to
I asked you one question.
How did that happen?
Mr. Khan, I asked you a question. आप अमित शाह के बेटे पे चले गए.
Haryana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra.
Okay.
The union government in BJP's cabinet, Harsimrat Badal has resigned from the government.
Okay, so you are saying this is a diversionary tactic. But how is this a diversionary tactic? 9 people have been arrested, 6 of them from Murshidabad, and in Murshidabad you have constant terror modules that are being busted. But there is a point that you make, and I buy that point. Why politicize something as grave as terror? Sudesh Verma, come in here. Mr. Khan is very clearly saying, देखिए भैया election है. There is an election in West Bengal next year. There is an election in Kerala. And this is the BJP setting up a narrative. BJP माहौल बना रहा है.
You say I have not come to respond to him because it's a very serious matter, something on which politics should not be done.
But the BJP is doing politics on it, na sir?
No, we are not doing. I'll tell you.
I'll show you some tweets. which you may have not seen.
Yeah, of course I've seen when I've come on your channel. You see, two issues are there. One, that NIA deserves congratulations for busting these modules. Imagine if one module would have succeeded, and there would have been death and destruction all around. So we're very thankful that the intelligence agency is working, and they have been able to nab, and we hope that they will further lead to conclusive evidences, and we'll be able to get more facts about this. You see, the second issue is that the state governments need to be more vigilant, and we have been pointing it out. Our state party unit has been pointing it out all the time, that please do not see people as Hindus and Muslims. Try to put fingers where it is going to be dangerous for the state. Because if the state cannot control
Mamata Banerjee
such
stop the
activity,
probe?
it is going to be very dangerous.
Why are you saying she is soft on terror? Why are you saying she is soft on terror? Did she stop the probe?
I'm saying that the state government needs to be more vigilant, and there's no doubt about that. That Mamata Banerjee, if she tries to, make distinction between Hindus and Muslims,
The BJP does
is
it?
not supposed to do that. No, BJP doesn't do that. We are not seen as Muslims or Hindus.
Okay.
One who is believing in Al-Qaeda ideology. Remember, Al-Qaeda is Osama bin Laden, if people have forgotten that, who created terror all across the globe. So it is a very serious issue, not to do politics on this.
But
and we're just saying the state government needs
But
to be
is
vigilant.
Mamata Banerjee coming out and supporting Al-Qaeda? But is
He has been
Mamata...
stopped on terror. We have said this not now. We have been saying this all the time.
Okay.
That there have been violence in West Bengal, and she's not doing anything.
Mr. Khan, respond to that.
Become goons.
Mr. Khan, respond to that.
I am the BJP spokesperson is
Mr.
only
Sudesh
being
Verma.
repetitive. Mr. Sudesh Verma is only being repetitive. I have heard all of this.
Yes, I'm
Since
being
2019
repetitive.
election, when the
It's a serious
election
matter, Mr.
was
Khan.
going on, we have heard this, that Mamata Banerjee is soft on Muslims, soft on terror, as if Mamata Banerjee is anti-national and the only nationalist person in the entire country
No, I
is
didn't
Mr.
say
Modi
that. This is
and
your-
all of his
This is your certificate.
One of
I
Bhakt
didn't
being
say
Mr.
that.
Sudesh
This
Verma,
is your
he's
word.
the
These are your
only,
words.
he's the only
You are saying
nationalist.
it. You are
Everybody
giving
else
certificate to
is
Mamata Didi
anti-national.
as
Everybody
anti-national. I have
else
not said
supports
that.
Al-Qaeda.
I have not
Only
said
he
Mamata
does
Didi
not
is
support
anti-national.
Al-Qaeda.
Sorry.
Only
You have
BJP
said
does
it.
not support Al-Qaeda.
I have not
I
said-
ask
no,
a
no.
simple question, Mr. Sudesh Verma. Where has the money gone? Where are you getting the money from?
You
Mr.
are
Khan,
poor.
all
You are
political
poor.
Mr.
parties
Khan,
have become poor.
Do something.
BJP
Do
has
some
become
political
Mr. Khan,
digging.
stick
Where is
to
Do
the
the
something
money
mudda.
coming from? How is
Mr.
BJP
Khan,
saying
stick
every
to the topic.
other day?
Please, no diversionary tactics
This
here. You are
mudslinging
accusing
will
the
not
BJP
happen.
of diversionary tactics and you are doing
This
exactly the
mudslinging
same
is
thing
not
on
going
my
to
show.
take you anywhere.
I
Sorry.
ask a simple question.
1 minute, Mr. Verma.
GDP, India's GDP is
No,
falling.
I am not talking about
but
GDP.
BJP's income is increasing. How is that happening?
Acha,
Where
theek hai.
is that
Arey, you have
money
all the
coming from?
institutions. Use those
Which-
institutions
which
to
No, this is the
corporate
problem.
house
BJP.
is
No,
funding
this is the
BJP?
problem with
Why
a
is
political
BJP
debate.
selling
मुद्दे
off
पे बात नहीं करनी है.
airports
Okay,
to private
gentlemen.
parties? Why is BJP selling railways to private parties? Please answer. If you want to fight election,
Gentlemen.
fight all
We
these,
want
you have
we
to
want
answer
to
these
answer this
questions.
debate. But why do you have a different debate?
Why
Gentlemen,
are you
I
saying
This is a
don't
debate
want to
about
cut off
terror.
your audio.
This is a debate about Al-Qaeda.
Gentlemen, I do not want to cut off your audio, but I will request you to please maintain some decorum.
I
Please.
say that you are trying to support these people
Mr.
by giving
Verma.
such basis arguments.
Mr. Verma and Mr. Khan, let's maintain the decorum. Let's maintain the decorum of this, of this platform, please. We are not a Tutu Meme channel, you know that. Give me 2 minutes. Let me go to Mr. Kulbir Krishan, who's a former IPS officer. Mr. Krishan, thank you very much for being with us. Forget the politics. The politicians will do politics. That's okay. I want to ask you just how serious what the NI has done is. What could we be staring at if these 9 people had not been arrested?
No, it's a very, very serious matter, and that is why politicians should also take it seriously. The fact is that these 9 persons are just a symptom. Al-Qaeda has been trying to spread its tentacles throughout the Indian subcontinent, and although the ISI says that it is against Pakistan state, everybody knows that Osama bin Laden was kept right
Correct.
in Abbottabad thanks to the ISI. It's no secret. And what these people could have done was, I'd like to give a bit of background. Al-Zawahiri, who's the head of Al-Qaeda, had set up Al-Qaeda in Indian subcontinent in September 2014.
Correct.
Last year, September, he said that Kashmiris should rise against Indian armed forces and attack. This year in May 2020, he has said Indian Muslims should rise against the Indian state, gather arms and carry out jihad. And his statement was that if you attack India in Delhi, Bangalore and Calcutta, then the pressure on Kashmir will become less. So these are very insidious, very dangerous things, and vital installations. We all know Kochi shipyard is very close to Ernakulam.
Correct.
It's the place where India's aircraft carriers are being built. There are so many other important things which are happening. Politics cannot be, at least on issues like terror and national security, politics should be set aside. Only last week on this same channel, we were discussing SDPI and PFI.
Correct.
And both the spokespersons of the Congress and the BJP were blaming each other for their rise. I would like to just remind them that, sir, Bhindranwale was raised by the Congress as a counter to the Akalis. You know all what happened in Punjab, what price we had to pay. We lost our Prime Minister. Please desist from such things. Focus on the real danger which we are facing. The real danger is Al-Qaeda. Bengal has a porous border. Bangladesh, ISI is very active. There are lots of very fundamentalist groups there. So many bloggers in Bangladesh have been killed by ISI, this Al-Qaeda, Indian subcontinent. So these things are now spreading to Indian Bengal. Murshidabad, Barkat Kali Khan Chaudhary came from there, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, they're all nationalists, as good nationalists as you or me. We cannot label a place as bad. But unless you have proper law and order, unless you maintain proper things, these bad elements will get a place to flourish.
Yeah.
And we cannot allow that. We must rise above politics and we must allow law enforcement agencies, including the police, to do their job strictly. Because in national security, Brooks, no,
politicization.
delay.
I agree with you, Mr. Krishnan, and I think you make some very good points. And I'll go with, I'll go to Mr. Khan with one of the points. Look, the fact is that no one is doubting the patriotism or nationalism of Mamata Banerjee, Mr. Khan. Certainly not me. But the fact is that Murshidabad has a reputation. The fact is that over and over again, you have terror modules that are being busted in Murshidabad. There is a problem with the place and there is a failure as far as law and order is concerned. There is no running away from that.
You see, NIA is a central agency. It's not run by state government. Now, I believe even the central government would not want to do politics on this, and therefore I would request them to refrain from making any comment maligning the state government, at least on these issues, because state government has been as transparent and as cooperative as it could be with the central agencies so far these investigations are concerned. But state governments would not allow the central government or the BJP party to use these incidents to have some kind of leverage and to deceive the people of Bengal when it comes to election.
Okay.
Because people of Bengal are going to ask the BJP and their government for the past 6 years that they have been running the central government about the failures, about the condition of poor people, about the condition of farmer and of the migrant people who have been suffering, about the central government's failure for COVID. We are going to ask these questions.
No, you ask those questions. But also, Mr. Khan, ask those questions.
This is the point I'm trying to make.
No, shut up वगैरह मत बोलिए show में. You have a right to ask questions. Every citizen in this country has a right to ask questions. But when questions are asked of you, don't at least dismiss all of it as politicization. But Mr. Sudesh Verma, irrespective of what Mr. Khan is saying, the fact is that the BJP is the one that started this politicization of terror. Where was the need for Mr. Amit Malviya to tweet what he did? Where was the need for the governor of Bengal to say what he did? It's not as if Mamata Banerjee is Hafiz Saeed, who is coming in the way of NIA investigations.
You see, I told you that pointing out to mistakes of the state government is not politicization. And we expect that Mamta Didi will listen to these things. They're very serious issues.
Okay.
When times come for assembly elections, we'll take account of her. When times come for Lok Sabha elections, then you take account of us. That is how the government goes. That is how the democracy in our country functions. But when such a serious issue has happened, we need to put our thoughts together. The state government is being warned. Please take care of that. Don't politicize these issues. And it's a very, very serious matter, as was rightly explained by honorable expert. You see, this is Al-Qaeda. This is
Mr.
not
Krishan,
a non-serious kind of organization.
Mr.
And more
Krishan
things are going
wants to
come.
say something. I have exactly 30 seconds. My producer is asking me to wrap. But Mr. Krishan, you want to say something? Please go ahead.
Yes,
The last word
I
to you.
want to say that the law and order situation in West Bengal is pretty bad. And it's not bad from today. 25 years of left rule made the entire West Bengal police politicized. And now TMC has been ruling now for quite some time, almost 10 years. But situation has not improved much. So it is high time that it acts in an impartial manner, gains the confidence of all sections of society, and works in a so that these terrorists and anti-national elements are not allowed to flourish.
All right.
That's the point I wanted to make.
Mr. Krishan, thank you very much. That's a sensible point to end the show on. Thank you very much, Mr. Khan. And thank you very much, Mr. Sudesh Verma of the BJP for joining us. With that, it's a wrap from me. Thanks very much for watching.